So, I've had this a year now. It's the Aldi Ferrex Petrol Lawnmower. And it's pretty good actually, but there's one big problem, and if you're watching this video, you've probably got exactly the same. Cold starts, not a problem. But when it's hot, and you try and start it, it just doesn't really want to start. I found rocking it gently seems to then help it start, but it's a pain in the butt, especially if you're using a grass collector, because the grass collector is not that big, and then you end up kind of having to stop it, empty the grass box container, stick it back on, try and start it, and the thing won't start. So we're going to have a look today what is going on with this. I think the first thing I want to do is have a look at the carburetor, but I haven't taken one of these apart before, so yeah, let's take a look. Right, so we're a bit tight for space in here. I think first things first, what we're going to do is disconnect the spark plug. There's a bit of safety, he says. Right, we're going to have to take the cover off. These mowers used to come with Briggs and Stratton engines. Obviously now they don't. But yeah, I was on the Aldi website looking at the feedback for these, and I think a hell of a lot of these got returned. My previous review on this, I did comment about how hard it was to start, and a guy did say it's the carburetor. A bit suspicious on a brand new mower stroke engine that the carb is blocked, but alright, let's get this off. The spark plug is a well-known brand, being Torch. Sinking here. It has got an automatic choke. I don't know how those work. I think the easiest one is the carb to go for. So that is around this side. Let's get some of this off. Let's take the filter housing off. That's got quite a load of rubbish in it really for a not so old engine. Little use. Okay. So I guess around the side, yeah, there's a couple of nuts to get off. If it's a bit noisy in the background, I've got my diesel heater going because it is pretty cold in here today. Right, so they look like 10mm. Yeah, these like the history of mowers really. I mean, these probably be phased out for battery, but we've got a big area here, and I've got a Bosch battery mower, 36 volts, and it's well, A, it's not self-drive, and B, it struggles with long grass. This mower is used for initial cuts, end of year when the robot mower won't work on wet grass. But yeah, the history of these things is obviously these mowers used to come with, the last thing that was gotten rid of was the choke. These engines would have a choke, obviously no more, that's manual. They also had a throttle, that went a long time ago, they just go near on maximum revs. So yeah, they're sort of made a bit foolproof, but yeah. Right, let's pull this out. We've probably got to disconnect the fuel pipe or something. That looks like a vacuum pipe. Something dropped down. Something important. Maybe. I'm not sure what that is. Right, so we've got to disconnect the fuel at the bottom and the primer. How much fuel have we got in this? It's a fair bit. So if I've got a clamp. Right. Okay, so clamp. It's gonna. I'm not sure it's going to be good enough. Let's get this primer off. Yeah, that just pulls off. Right, so that's the filter. I'm just looking at the gasket. This piece of metal that popped out is an insert. It goes kind of somewhere around here. Like that. Okay, so that's that. Let's put that up there. So here we have the carburetor. That I guess is it auto throttle? Oh. Okay. A bit oily, oil's got in. Let's try and get this fuel hose off. See how much petrol we can spill out. Yeah, auto choke. I am a bit don't know on that at all. I can't see it, maybe it hasn't got a choke. Spring clips. Struggle. To be honest, this is all pretty easy stuff. Anyone can have a go on this. Let's try and move it by hand. It's nice. It hasn't got one of those. I don't know what they are called, but I've seen it on a few trimmers and that, and chainsaws. Those carburetors. There's really small ones with like loads of rubber diaphragms inside. Just asking to go wrong with the E10 fuel. Oh, by the way, this runs on premium unleaded, just to avoid all the hassle, and I drain it out in the winter. Right, let's pull it off. Coming off. Yeah, so Aldi's returns must have been fantastic for this. Okay, a little bit came out, so that's that off. We've got this linkage to get off now. That should just ping off. Very, very simple. So we've got the carb off. There's going to be fuel in the bowl. We've got the drain there, and we've got the nut for basically undoing the bowl and taking the bowl off. The gasket itself, very strange. It's huge, just a square bit of material. So you could probably get another gasket out of that if you cut it in half. Maybe that's what it's designed for. I don't know. Weird. Okay, so the make of this carburetor is HUAYI for reference. There's a lot of oil in it. We got a carb cleaner and we got an airline, so we're going to do some work on this, bit of a better close-up angle as well on the camera. Alright, so we're back on it. I think I might chuck some gloves on for this. I don't really like getting loads of petrol on my hands. or they should really, well, it's ethanol, isn't it? A huge amount of ethanol screws up the fuel altogether. Okay, enough of moaning. One carb. We need to drain all this. One kid's sand castle bucket to drain fuel into that. Alright. $10 yeah, they're both 10 mil. I'm pretty sure that if we hold this up, all the fuel will drain out anyway. There we go. Of course, you could pour this back into the fuel tank, but I'm lazy. Alright, that's that. We move that out of the way, it stinks. These diesel heaters are really good. This is double garage and it's like pretty cold without any heating in it. Okay, so let's push it down. Oh, that's tight. Okay. So like I say, this will just, the bowl will come off. You've got the float. I mean, like I say, I mean, it's all pretty clear. This is brand new. It's 1 year old. This is why I'm a bit miffed that there's any blockages. There's a jet down there, the emulsion tube. We'll crack that open. You need to be a bit careful doing stuff like this, that you're using the proper extraction tool, aka a screwdriver, flat blade, the widest one you've got that will go in the hole. He says. There was one I used, yeah, this one. So, flathead. It's the widest one that will go down there. And again, I'm just going to push down and turn it anti-clockwise. There we go. Normally these are complete pains when the carbs. I've got a 23-year-old lawnmower, ride-on lawnmower, and the carb, these things were almost seized in place. Come on, out you come. Let's check that float, that looks right. There we go. Again, in here we want to be checking for this, just to make sure there's no dirt in there at all. So I'm going to hold it up to the light and see what I can see. I see a tiny amount of light. Let's have a look. It's hard to know if that's the right hole for that aperture. It seems very small, ridiculously small. So that could be the problem. There's the tube. Note that this bit, this end is the bottom, this end is the top, and then we've got holes all the way around this as well as up the centre. So again, I'm just going to have a look. Up the centre looks fine. Holes to the sides. They look good. Right. So we got to just work out what else we've got that we can remove here. This seems interesting. Okay, I don't know what this is. I'm not au fait with everything. So we unscrew this. We're going to take this out. There is something in there, but I can't understand what that does. What we're going to do is get the compressor on this, I think. Yeah. I'm just going around looking at stuff. But I think I'm going to get my old friend compressed air out. Right, this will make a racket. It's an old suitcase compressor with that on the end. So I think so far we're doing alright, we haven't broken anything. That's always a good sign, isn't it? Alright, prepare for noise. Right, so that's the carb done. I'm not sure what you saw of that. We're going to do this tube and this jet next. Try not to lose any bits, he says, but I think something might have blown off. No, put those in there. So yeah, that's done. Let's move on to that, to this, and that. Oh, that's interesting. So this is that jet that goes, the emulsion tube goes in there and this goes on top. So I said earlier that I thought that the hole was particularly small, so I'm looking up at the light now and that hole is definitely bigger. So fair play to the guy in the comments. Not saying it's fixed, we'll try that in a bit, but it does look better. That leaves the emulsion tube. Let's have a look at this again. Yeah, I think that's alright, but we're going to blast some air through it. What have we got? Have a look again. I think, to be honest, I think this was blocked as well. We haven't used any carb cleaner. I'm just wondering, those holes. Right, I think we're going to have a little go on these holes. There's a way of doing this. I tend to use a wire brush but with brass on. So basically don't use steel because you'll kind of start resizing holes. And then I take a little bristle that's sticking out, like this one, and then put it in the holes. It's really hard to do. You might switch. I'm going to switch to my microscope thing. Right, so now in here under the microscope, and you can see a lot more clearer these holes. It looks like the ones here are obviously bigger than these ones here, and those there. Looking down, looking up, sorry, looking there. Right, I'm not sure this is worth doing, to be honest, but we might as well. Just going in each hole. Tend to use the air compressor a bit more for clearing carbs rather than just carb cleaner, because they're not gunky. There's like a something blocking a hole or something like that. You need the compressed air, or like this. Yeah, if this doesn't, I'm pretty sure it's blocked, but if this doesn't fix it, I don't know how to fix it, basically, because I don't know how the automatic choke stuff works. But we're going to finish this off, put it all back together, and then start it, let the engine run up, stop it, and then start it again. Right, I think that's it for now. Let's move back to the garage. Right, so we're back. Let's put that brush away. Let's put this back in, he says. Like that. Actually, let's see if it goes in the other way. It probably goes in both ways. Okay, and then the screw, the jet. Be careful not to cross thread it. Don't over tighten. So that's in place. Right, okay, let's continue. So I've got that jet in, tightened up. We want to put this back in. That just went in the top. You just see that actually, it's got a I'm going to give this a blow through because there's the hole through the centre. I can't work out if that brass bit has got a hole all the way through. fact, I think I'm just going to put my little wire through it. Right, yeah, let's give it a quick run. Yep. Now this, I've got no real idea how that goes back in, but I'm just going to push it in place. Then this screw holds it. Don't really like this. Right, that's that in place. That all moves nicely, he says. Okay, the bowl can go back on. If I'm getting any of this the wrong way round, shout out to me. Tighten this back up. And that's it. Let's get it back in the mower. Alright, so we're at the side here. This is where we're popping it back onto. Let's have a think what I was doing. It's the fuel feed. Okay, so it's this way. I'll put a link on the end of this video to a review I did. I also did some Pour 15 sealant on the deck underneath, just to help things along, prevent a bit of rust. Okay. Let's get that linkage on. Right, that's in place. That goes like that. We can get the fuel pipe back on. That's the fuel pipe back on. Take the clamp off. What else? Not sure you can see down here. You should be able to. I'm not happy on that gasket, but I'm sure it's fine. I've got the clip. Let's get that clip back on. That's back on. And we got the air filter housing, and we've also got the primer bulb. I'm just going to push that into place. Might have to line this all up. We've got that, what I call a vacuum hose, don't know if it is or not. And let's get the primer hose back on. That clips in place. It's all looking good to go. Let's check the gasket, looks right. we've got these two nuts to secure the housing. I might actually trying to work out the spark plug. I might replace that. If it's still problematic starting when hot, I'll replace it, but let's try and get some even pressure. There we go. So this is quite, well, if it fixes it, this is quite a quick fix, isn't it? Let's put that spark plug cap back on. That's in place, and what we're going to do is, in fact, what I am going to do is put this back on as well. Probably not the safest thing to do, start it without it on loose. Yeah, so before I just finish that off, all the tools that I use for this job were a clamp, but you could just obviously drain the fuel tank, a Phillips screwdriver, a flat-headed screwdriver. I used another one which is on the bench for the jet, which is a narrower blade. Yeah, a pair of pliers. It's not really a lot of tools on this. It's pretty easy to maintain. If you, again, if this does work, comment, leave me a comment and just tell me how you've got on with yours, if you have fixed it or not, or if you did return it. In my first video on these, I mentioned the name of the manufacturer of the engine, and now I can't remember what it was. I'm sure it's written on it somewhere. But yeah, Briggs & Stratton, no, not on these anymore. What am I doing? Why am I screwing and it's not going in? This is probably the hardest part of the job, getting this back on. Oh, that seems better. No. Yeah, this is stupid. Right, that's definitely in. This one was playing up no end. That's definitely in. The back one's definitely in. Good. I'll turn my heater off and actually open the door.